WrestleBeards, we got all your wrestling gear. WrestleBeards, woo! Hairy man with dirty beards. WrestleBeards Worldwide.
How's it going, everyone? This is Shrek for WrestleBeards Worldwide, and we are here with podcast 13. Unlucky for some, Luke. What do you reckon?
Well, it's not going to be me. Not going to be me.
Man, 13. I mean, it's taken a while to get to 13, to be fair, but we're on the consistency roller coaster. Woo!
Yeah, we are. We are.
Hey,
how you doing?
You, buddy?
You good?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, very good as well. Very good as well. Looking forward to the weekend. Big pay-per-views coming up.
Oh, mate, this is a hell of a weekend. Well, we've got two big pay-per-views, and I guess countries, or what is it, worlds collide. The NXT UK blow-off as well.
Yeah.
Lots to be excited about. Yeah, maybe not. Well, anyway, let's kick this podcast in the butt into full gear with our first section, which is Hot Topics. What have you got for your Hot Topic of the week, Luke?
Yeah, so being a Brit, I'll say Brit rather than Englishman because of where the pay-per-view is going. But finally, the WWE are coming back to do more than just house shows and like a SmackDown Live and a Raw. They're doing Clash at the Castle from the Principality Stadium in Cardiff this weekend, 6 p.m. UK time, midnight my time, I guess probably about 4 a.m. your time.
It's going to be an early one. Yeah, I think I'll be on tape delay for sure.
But long overdue, I think. And I think they're perhaps doing this as a test in the water for a SummerSlam return next summer to Wembley Stadium in London. So, yeah, I'm really, really excited. I wish I was back there because I would have got tickets to go for it. And I think it's going to be a hell of an event.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. Obviously, it's not just a special event. It's a chronology, whatever you call it, in the canon of the WWE. So it's not just something happening like a house show. Yeah. It's actually real storylines progressing, which is awesome. I think, they've only done this, obviously, the Wembley one in the past and, Saudi Arabia and Canada. I think they're the only countries that have ever had, actual storyline progression pay-per-views. So it's pretty cool.
It is, yeah. Yeah, and it's, as I said, long overdue. 92 was the last one in Wembley Stadium, the old Wembley Stadium. So, yeah, like there's a big following for WWE in the UK, and it has been for, since I've been around. So, it's good to see it going back, and it makes me wish I was there.
Why Wales? Why not put it at Wembley Stadium again or somewhere in England?
Well, this is it. I think that they're tested. Like Principality is probably the second biggest stadium, other than the football stadiums, which will have football matches going on. So I think they're trying it out, seeing what the following's like, seeing what the sellout's like, and then going back to Wembley next summer.
And then I guess we can only hope the next one Clash at the Marais, and when it comes to New Zealand. Maybe not. Nah, I don't think so. Might
Clash at Eden Park.
We'll see how that goes. Well, awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to watching the pay-per-view whenever I finally get to watch it. Of course, I'm not getting up at silly hours, but yeah, for sure. No. And we're going to talk all about the matches and so forth, and another video coming out, aren't we, Luke? We are. Yeah, we've got obviously our predictions for the premium live events coming up. Oh, yeah. It's going to be fun. This could be a long night. All right. Well, my hot topic is definitely the biggest thing on my radar at the moment. And that's obviously Mr. McMahon. He's left the building and Triple H has stepped up. He's now the head of creative and I believe talent as well, or talent relations. I can't remember his official title, but he's definitely the big dog now in that department. And we've already seen changes are brewing. I think there's, a new dawn is here. We've seen big comebacks. We've had Dakota Kai. We've had Dexter Lumis appearing in creepy things with The Miz. We've had Karrion Kross and Scarlett return. And, they're being treated with respect. Johnny Gargano is back. So cool. And, they're making a big deal out of it, not just rushing him into some silly storyline. I believe Road Dogg's back in the annals doing, what do you call it, producing and so forth. But that's not all I'm excited for, Luke. I'm actually seeing that some of the stars that were sort of tossed to the side are now actually being given a bit of respect too. The likes of Shayna Baszler, the likes of Ricochet, the likes of, I've got some more names down here. The Viking Raiders are finally looking hard again. Matt Riddle is called Matt Riddle again, not just Riddle. It's a good time to be a fan. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. And I read a stat. I think it was the match between Happy Corbin and Ricochet was the first sort of do-over match that's happened. So he's managed to have new matches, fresh stuff. It was the first repeat match in 4 weeks, when these matches are getting repeated week on, week out. One name that I'd like to add, I think they're finally giving him a bit of respect, is Kevin Owens again. He's getting good stuff. He's back to the tape KO in his shirt. And Sami Zayn. The stuff that Sami Zayn's doing is the best stuff of his career.
Sami Zayn is definitely the best part of SmackDown at the moment. I mean, I don't know why, if it just, ignites the flames within a white boy who likes black boy music like myself. But I always like seeing like a guy who shouldn't be hanging out with the bros. You know what I mean? And he's hanging out with the Usos. He's putting his hand up. He's dancing around. I love it, man. Sami Zayn is funny.
Well, I love but they're putting him in matches where he's not just a comedy match. He's not like, he's not like a Jerry the King Lawler. He's actually a proper wrestler. And so that match against Drew McIntyre at the weekend, it was a really good match. And I like the stuff that's going on between Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso. Jimmy and him are quite close. Jay's, kind of like the story development there that's going on. It's going more than a week, and I think it's really good. I can see Sami Zayn getting a title shot out.
I think it's going to be cool. If not, I'd like to even see maybe KO and Sami get the tag titles in some kind of betrayal. That could happen. The other cool thing that I've noticed under this Triple H era, as I'm calling it, we've seen they're allowed to say wrestling again. And they brought it up in that massive promo between KO and Drew the other week on Raw, I believe it was.
Good promo.
Can't remember.
It was on Raw, yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. And they're saying wrestling. I believe they've said wrestling belts as well, which was a no-no in the past. How ridiculous. I mean, we're watching a wrestling show, bottom line. Let's use the words, How silly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What are we not allowed to say on this podcast? Beards or podcasts? It's the same thing. It's just ridiculous. Okay, well, we're hyped, right? We're hyped.
This is really good.
On that note, we've got our next segment, everyone's favorite, the top three, our favorite anyway, I believe. And this week's top three, we thought it would be pertinent to highlight, and I've got it written down here, our most wanted returns under the Triple H era. So we've had a few, I listed them off earlier, but now we're going to list our most wanted returns in this era. So why don't you kick us off, Luke, and tell us who is your number 3 pick for your most wanted return?
Yeah, I've actually changed my mind in the last hour.
Shocking.
The notes that I gave you, and I've changed my mind. I'd like to see Keith Lee return. Because Keith Lee under Triple H's guidance at NXT was brilliant. He then came over to the main roster. I know he had some personal issues, but took some time away and then came back. And he was like the squirrel nut or something, wasn't he? Like ridiculous gimmick that they made him. And then just got rid of him, and he didn't.
Did you say the squirrel nuts?
It was something ridiculous.
The bear cat. He was the bear cat.
The bear cat, the squirrel nut, maybe.
The squirrel nut, Keith Lee.
But yeah, they just made him ridiculous, and he was this killer. Where when he was in NXT, I remember the War Games that he was in when KO came back against the Undisputed Era, and he was just brilliant. He was so good, and I would really like to see him come back and just be himself again, because I don't think he's getting a fair rub on AEW either. So I'd like to see him come back under
couldn't agree
Triple H.
more. Love a bit of Keith Lee, and he's just talent wasted when he was back in the WWE last time. I'm glad he did leave, but I think he could do so much more with a return under the Triple H era.
Absolutely.
Okay, great start, Luke. Well, my number 3 pick, I don't see it happening, by the way, but it is a most wanted, and that's Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose, the current AEW champion, as of last week.
Undisputed.
But I'd love to see him back in WWE under Triple H's guidance, and not just being, led down the garden path like I think Vince was doing with him last time, with silly injection angles and wearing weird gas masks and so forth. I was so hyped when he returned in the WWE, and then they went down that bandwagon, and it was just all over for him. But I mean, so many awesome things now that could come about. He's a big dog. I'd like to see even him come back as John Moxley, potentially.
Yeah.
Let's see him say, hey, Dean's a thing of the past. I'm now John Moxley, and they could reform the Shield. They could have those fights resurrect again now that we've got Roman Reigns as big as he is, and Seth Rollins as big as he is. I mean, they're different guys than they used to be, all 3 of them. So lots of potential there, and of course, any new feuds that could come about. So it's only exciting if he did come back, but again, I don't see it happening.
I can't see it happening either. They're kind of what they're doing in AEW. Like, he's kind of the Roman Reigns, and they've obviously got William Regal, like the Paul Heyman. They've got Cesaro, whatever, the Chris Castagnoli.
Blackpool Combat Club.
Yeah, that's it. Blackpool Combat Club. I would like to see that, maybe those 2 factions against each other.
Maybe
that would be brilliant. Yeah,
door 2028. We'll see it there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with that said, what about your number 2 pick? Who's your number 2 most wanted return under the Triple H era?
Well, who's your number 2? Who's your daddy? Samoa Joe to return, because I was really liking I really actually liked him on the main roster as well. I thought the stuff he did with AJ Styles was brilliant. Then went over to commentary, and he was good on commentary. But then obviously went back down to NXT to give it like a new lease of life, and won the belt off Karrion Kross, who's since returned. Karrion Kross, he was unbeaten, and then and then left, went into the sunset, and now he's on Ring of Honor and AEW. So yeah, I'd like to see him return. I'd like to see him come back, and I'd like to see him sort of get a good killer run again, like he had in NXT, and to a certain extent in WWE. So I just think it ended too short.
I couldn't agree more with that as well. I mean, if we look at sort of a parallel journey, AJ Styles and Samoa Joe sort of came into the WWE fold at the same time, and they both had previous TNA long-term careers. They really treated AJ Styles with respect, but they just really lost the plot with Samoa Joe. He was definitely a WWE title holder, in my opinion, that they should have had, but they just didn't. He's a monster heel, and when he's a babyface, he's so over. So I just don't know why they didn't use him to the best they could have. It was just ridiculous.
But it's a gimmick that worked for all of his career in TNA, then over in NXT, now in AEW. Don't mess with the gimmick. It works. It's tried and tested.
Agreed. And I can't believe they didn't play on the fact he's Samoan, and we've got the other Samoans in the WWE. I don't even think they even mentioned it. So why not? That would have been awesome. A current Roman Reigns feud against Samoa Joe. I know they did have a little feud down, in the past at one point, but how about now? This could be the time, right?
Well, obviously there was that moment where that killer shine went, and it was the return of WrestleMania in Tampa Bay, and that image of him and Michael Cole in their anoraks because it was pissing down the rain. So yeah, that took the shine off. It's something that your grandmother would wear to the shops.
Well, Wasn't the only time that it rained on his parade that year, unfortunately.
No.
Okay, yeah, great shout. Well, my number 2 pick, another big man, and I think, someone who really improved in their time and was probably one of the most shocking, let goes when he was let go, and that's Braun Strowman. I think he was only the WWE champion 2 months prior. I think it was around the time Roman Reigns returned and he lost the belt and so forth. And then he just went into oblivion and then was let go. And they put a rocket to him and they were doing so much with him over 3 years and then just nothing. And it was just insanity. They don't even have really any big men like that in the WWE at this current time. Someone who really stood out like he does. He's awesome on the mic. He's actually quite limber for a big fella. He had a pretty good character, and whether he was a heel or a face, I think he was just well over. Plus, that shape he got into, it was like he put all the work in, like the Big Show that time, and then they just didn't want him anymore. It was weird.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But imagine if he was back now. I'd love to see him just storm roll in and just, try and say he could play on the fact that he was unjustly let go at the time, or maybe he's learned a lot about himself in the off season and he's come back to prove something. I don't know, but he's definitely a potential main player, and I've heard echoes that he could really be someone who's coming back.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. I've never been a big fan of Braun Strowman. I think he's very one-dimensional.
Ooh.
And I follow him on Instagram, and he's, what I do find funny is he's this one guy. He is Braun Strowman on TV. He's Braun Strowman outside the ring. He's just this great big, weightlifting oaf. But yeah, good luck to him. If he returns, I think maybe Triple H could do something better than he got with Vince McMahon.
The greatest Strowman. We want him back. All right, well, there we have it. Both of our number 2 picks, but, it's nothing without a number 1 pick. Who is your number 1 most wanted star to return under the Triple H era?
Well, my number 1, and it's doing the rounds. Big rumors coming out it's going to happen. I know that he's in our top 3 wrestlers of all time, if not top. It's Chris Jericho for one final run before he goes off into the sunset, into retirement. Well-deserved retirement as well. I'd like to see him come back with the gimmick he's got at AEW, because I love the entrance song. I really like the Le Champion that he does. I like the I can't remember what they called it, but the stages of Jericho where he had different things that he had to do. I'd like to see him return, maybe a big Royal Rumble return, and then one last run in the company. I'd love to see it. I think I'd lose my mind if he did.
Jericho is awesome, and not only that, he's one of the smartest people in professional wrestling. He knows how to reinvent himself. He's never burned bridges really with WWE. I believe even after he'd left, he went and did the stuff with Okada and Kenny Omega and so forth, I believe. Yeah. But then he did return
Cruise of Jericho.
He still returned for the greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi. I know he still had a return at one point. And I believe he was even in a backstage segment where they just walked past him one time. I can't remember what that was for, a Rock return or something like that. But basically, he hasn't burned bridges, and, he could just slot right back in there. Jericho is amazing for how old he is, how long he's been in the business. I mean, we'd love to see him back, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine seeing that countdown again.
The greatest debut ever. That was so good.
They could do the countdown into Judas, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Something just to
shock. Because like when Cody returned, WWE fans, they watch AEW. And so at WrestleMania, that's what you could hear over the adrenaline track that they've got. Everyone was singing it. And that's what would happen with Judas. It would be
amazing. Exceptional. And he owns the music, so he can bring it along. So that's a cool thing.
He does, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, what a number 1 pick. And, not to steal your thunder or anything, but I think this one's going to blow that one out of the water because I want back for my number one pick, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. And I see it happening. I mean, I said earlier Braun Strowman was a massive shock, but there was no bigger shock than when they let Bray Wyatt go. He was like, no pun intended, on fire in the WWE. They used him in some bizarre storylines, no doubt, while they had him there. But they also used him in some of the greatest storylines while they had him there. Let's not forget the Firefly Funhouse match with John Cena at WrestleMania, which is still one of the most bizarre, but probably one of my favorite matches of all time for what it was.
That was genius.
He was kind of Foley-esque. He had the two faces, or I guess even you could say three faces of Wyatt. There was the Swamp Wyatt, there was the Funhouse Wyatt, and then there was the Fiend. So he had a bit of everything. He could turn it up to 10, or he could drop it back down to the comedic stuff in the Funhouse. But it was just so good. And you could tell that he really had his stamp on it. And then suddenly he was gone. He hasn't been doing much since. I know that he was filming some horror movie or something. But
he's been in Hollywood, hasn't he?
I don't really know what's going on with that. But there's no doubt that he's probably not been contacted about a return, or if not, we're going to see him soon anyway. I'd love to see him back. I
think potentially this weekend we could see something. Because they keep on having the strange things that keep on going on. I think this weekend perhaps something could go on. Maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised. No. I did see someone threw a still screenshot up of some glove that was poking around a door, and it looked like Bray Wyatt's glove.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool. Whether that's
it was weird, wasn't it?
It was weird. But okay, there we have it. Our top threes for most wanted returns in the WWE under the Triple H era, and let's hope they all get back.
Yeah, well, obviously some honourable mentions. You and I did go back and forth. You want to mention your one that you did want, and I vetoed it.
It's sort of like we don't know really if they're gone or not, but Sasha Banks and Naomi, I think that they're going to be back on their way soon to the WWE. Yeah. It's a matter of time, but we didn't know if we could really include that because have they been let go really anyway?
I think we're definitely going to see Sasha Banks back soon. Naomi maybe not, but Sasha Banks I think.
Yeah, cool. Have you got any other honourable mentions?
Well, Daniel Bryan would be one. This was one I toyed with. I think he would never be able to be Daniel Bryanson. Bryan Danielson. Oh, we're gonna have to start again now.
Nah.
Bryan Danielson. I just don't think he could ever be truly himself in WWE. I still think that it's a little bit too limited for him. He's too indies, too sort of forward thinking of his own, too independent. So whilst I'd like to see it, that's just pure selfishness. I think he's going to thrive in AEW still.
Yeah, I agree. And the other one, of course, is Alberto Del Rio. We both want back, right?
Oh yes, yeah.
There goes the monetization for this YouTube channel that we're never going to get. Okay, well, not a bad top three. Nice work, Luke. And we've got the final segment of the show, which as teachers, we love to give out that homework. So, Luke, have you got a piece of homework for our viewers, our 3 or 4 viewers that listen to us each time we put one of these out? Have you got something for them?
Yeah. So recently, I was my wife and we had our first baby, and I now feel happy enough with my collection of Funko Pop, and it's a very small, limited collection compared to your grand size, but it's something I've only recently got into because of this new edition. But collection of Funko Pop figurines. They're kind of, for those who don't know, where have you been for the last 10 years? Very small kind of body, great big head, and they look really good. So I've got about 10. I've got my 11th. I've got Ministry Undertaker on the way to me at the moment.
I've got that one. Awesome.
It's a good one. It's a really good one. It took me a long time to find here in Jakarta, Indonesia, but I managed to. But yeah, like I'm collecting them up. As then something I've already tried getting my 6-week-old son into wrestling. We watch SmackDown on Saturday mornings at Shrek Scene, start him early. But having these little toys in his room are a way that I want to get him to get into one of my loves. So yeah, Funko Pop collection. If you don't know about it, check it out. There's thousands of them. It's not just WWE. They do different series as well. So yeah, it's a really cool little thing, and they're not too expensive. But I'm validated now by spending my money, hard-earned money per month on them.
They're not that out of budget though, really, are they? They're quite affordable.
No.
And
there are a couple. There's a couple. There's one. There's a Fiend one, actually. Funny enough, one that you said about the Fiend, and that's out here. That's about 2 million rupiah, which for our British listeners, that's about £120. So I might see if I can get that one if my wife allows it.
Don't do that one.
I will if he returns this weekend.
Hey, I did buy I've got a few wrestling ones, but I've got a few random ones like Colonel Sanders from KFC. I've got his Funko Pop. I've got Abraham Lincoln's one. I've got a few random ones. So yeah, and I've spent some definite money I shouldn't have on Funko Pops, but yeah, story for another podcast. Okay, cool. Well, nice. Yeah, you're a man after my own Funko collection, because I definitely agree with that. My homework for the week, it's a bit of self-advertising for the channel anyway. It's our own WrestleBeards Instagram and Facebook pages. I'll put the links obviously below and in the description. But it's really starting to take off. We're seeing a lot more subscribers, a lot more viewers, and I think it comes down to just trying to engage the I was going to say customers, clientele, but just the audience. I've been putting up a few more memes, or memes as my wife likes to say. And there's been some hard case ones that have been going up over the last month or so, and we've actually had some engagement from the actual wrestlers themselves, giving some good feedback and liking the posts and so forth. So yeah, I had a Mean Street Posse one that was up a few weeks ago, and both Rodney from the Mean Streets and Pete Gas both liked the posts, which was pretty cool. Then I had one about Shelton Benjamin being in Young Sheldon, and he actually, put a comment up and liked the post, and he was talking off screen about it, so that was pretty cool. And then today I posted a Chris Masters one, Chris Masters of the Universe, and then he liked it. So I'm trying to get them on the channel. That's never going to happen, but worth a try, right? Oh, can't even hear you anymore, Luke. I think your sound's gone off.
If you don't put it out there, sorry about that.
Yeah.
If you don't put it out there, then yeah, you're never going to get something back. So I think it's great. Like you share them with me, and I think they're so inventive. Some of the ones, there was a Stone Cold Steve Austin one that was even beyond my reference. But yeah, like there's some really, really funny ones, and yeah, keep it up. It's cool.
It's actually fun. I just enjoy doing it, but yeah, it's a bit lame as well. I get it. Don't judge me.
Well, I told you need to turn them into NFTs, make a bit of money off this.
My wife already judges me. I don't need you guys out there judging me too. Oh, well, with that said, Luke, we've got the 13th podcast behind us, and we've got a few videos coming our way soon with this busy weekend ahead. Do you want to preview those again for the last time?
Yeah, so we're going to be offering our predictions. I think we had the last prediction show on SummerSlam, so we've got the Clash of the Castle predictions coming up, and then we've got the AEW All Out predictions coming up too. So yeah, lots coming up.
Our first AEW predictions as well, so that's pretty cool.
It is, yeah.
Exciting times. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll be back for podcast 14 when we do it, I guess. So we will see you soon. Cheers, bro.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate.